File photo. Children walk past rubble of damaged buildings at Ain Tarma, eastern Damascus suburb of Ghouta, Syria, July 19, 2017. Bassam Kabia. File photo. Amman. Reuters. Syrian jets and artillery struck rebel-held eastern Damascus suburbs on Saturday, a day after a Russian-sponsored ceasefire with a rebel group agreed a halt to fighting in the last opposition enclave in the capital, rebels and witnesses said. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Friday it had reached a ceasefire that took effect at 21:00 hours Moscow time 1800 GMT with Falak al-Rahman, the main Free Syrian Army FSA group, fending off a 12-month wide-scale Syrian army offensive in Jobar district and nearby town of Ain Tarma. A spokesman for Falak al-Rahman said both Jobar, which lies some 2 kilometers (1.2 miles) east of the old city wall, and nearby Ain Tarma on the edge of eastern Ghouta witnessed army strikes and shelling soon after the ceasefire went into effect. After the first few hours, there were many violations. Midnight they dropped barrel bombs, and from the morning there have been strikes across the Ghouta. Wael Al-Wen, spokesman for the group, said. At least 5 civilians were killed in the towns of Hamaria and Zalamka, and fighters said there were several cases of suffocation from rockets filled with chlorine that were fired at the front lines of Jobar and Ain Tarma, he added. The Syrian Army Elite 4th Division has been trying unsuccessfully to storm Jobar, and residents say the army has retaliated for its heavy losses by shelling residential areas, leaving scores killed and wounded since the campaign was launched. Moscow said on Friday that the ceasefire meant an earlier one announced last month in eastern Ghouta now included all the moderate opposition groups in the main rebel stronghold that stretches from eastern to northeastern suburbs of Damascus. The army has not commented on the latest Russian agreement with Falak al-Rahman, whom it considers a terrorist group that threatens the capital. It, however, says it abides by truces Moscow has brokered. Many fighters welcomed the ceasefire to help alleviate plight of civilians most hurt by aerial strikes, but remain deeply skeptical about Russia's readiness to get the Syrian army to stick to the terms of a cessation of fighting in several de-escalation zones that Russia has already announced. Moscow had already begun to deploy military police in several areas across Syria, such as in southwestern Syria where de-escalation zones had been announced. This shows the lack of seriousness by the Russia to put pressure on the regime, Al-Wen added. Falak al-Rahman said the Syrian army bombardment appeared to be an attempt to wreck a ceasefire deal whose main points included deploying Russian military police along the front line, the release of detainees, and allowing humanitarian goods into the besieged eastern Ghouta. It seems the regime wants to take advantage of the opportunity to take revenge for its big losses during their many attempts to storm the Ghouta before the Russian military police enter to disengage the forces, Al-Wen told Reuters. Outnumbered and outgunned, local rebels fortified in elaborate tunnels and deploying ambushes have repelled repeated attempts to storm their stronghold, inflicting dozens of losses on the army since the campaign began. Reporting by Suleiman Al-Khalidi, editing by Richard Baumfirth.